大変だったね。
大変だった。Raging companions, what up? It's been way too long, eh? It's been 3 weeks. I've been slacking off like a bitch. Now I have a few excuses, but you don't need to take them into consideration. The first one being like it was a festive holiday during like a few days, and then it got really tiring, and I had exams, and so I didn't do shit. So I'm late in 2 videos. Maybe someday I'll pay them back to you guys, but I hope you didn't forget me in the meantime, eh? My little secret is that I was busy playing Replicant, Nier Replicant, instead of actually, I don't know, hustling in this fucking YouTube game. So yeah, today we're going to talk about a really interesting topic that has been affecting me these last few weeks. I've been writing a story that will be my best one yet, and something happens, right? You read those great stories, and today we're going to talk in particular about two stories, two writers, two artists, right? Two creative minds. The first one being the Miura, the Berserk creator, basically the head, the genius behind Berserk, that sadly died a few days ago, and this is why I'm making this video in part as a tribute to this great man, to this one-of-a-kind man that is really a great loss for the world. He was a genius of some sort, and today he is no more, and he sadly hasn't finished his work, but it's good as it is, because without him it's never going to be the same. So yeah, moving along, we're going to talk about Yoko Taro, which who is a madman, to say the least. He's a mad artist, and is really someone I look up to in terms of storytelling and story complexity and writing and all that good stuff. He's the guy behind Nier Automata, Nier Replicant, and the Dragon God, not trilogy, Dragon God series. All of them, but the second one, which coincidentally is the only one that's not like canon, because it's not good enough, eh? It's not good enough. So yeah, what I want to talk about is when you read or play or watch those great works, something happens. Something really special happens. You feel like shit, basically. When I play through Nier Replicant, right? The characters were fleshed out. I'm talking about the story. Some people didn't like the gameplay. It's the main controversy about the game, even though it's been rehauled and it's quite good now. I liked it. I liked the gameplay a lot. But yeah, and the repetitiveness also sometimes can get a bit grueling, but the world is so appealing that I don't mind walking through the fucking world, going back and forth. It's okay. It was okay to me because I liked going to the villages and seeing people and talking to people and listening to the music and seeing them interacting with them. It's quite the cool world, right? The world we live in, and especially the little village we start the game in. It's quite the lovely village. It's a lovely place. It's small and it's not too hard to remember, and so it's easy on your mind and you kind of feel at home, right? But yeah, we're getting away from the subject, talking about the story. I'm not going to spoil anything. there's no spoilers in that video, I think. If I am about to talk about any spoilers, I'll fix it while I edit this. So yeah, I wanted to talk about the story, the complexity, and the complexity of the story, right? There are huge plot twists in the story that don't seem forced, right? They're not forced. A lot of the time when I find myself writing a plot twist that I didn't prepare for, it seems a lot more forced. I mean, the plot twist is weaved perfectly into the world, into the characters. The reaction of the characters to that plot twist isn't artificial, it's actually good. You feel like they are living beings, that's why you can be sad and feel for them even though they're not real.
Vice, you dumbass!
Cry.
Start making sense, you rotten book, or you're gonna be sorry! Maybe I'll rip your pages out one by one, or maybe I'll put you in the goddamn furnace! How can someone with such a big smart brain get hypnotized like a little bitch, huh? Oh, Shadow Lord, I love you, Shadow Lord! Come over here and give Vice a big sloppy kiss, Shadow Lord! Now pull your head out of your goddamn ass and start fucking helping us!
The story doesn't... I mean, it makes sense, it just does. Right? It's complex and the world is so fleshed out and you're so emotionally connected to that story as well as intellectually. Like you're waist deep into an intrigue and you want to fix it, right? You want to go to the end of that intrigue. When the music follows suit, I mean, it's just great. You get immersed so well and the story follows suit so well and it just makes sense. And I mean, that's a big word, right? Making sense. A story that has to make sense. At first glance, you're like, he's talking shit, right? I'm just speaking in the void. But try writing something. Try writing something, an idea. Try writing the story of someone. And try making sense of it in a coherent world, where not every side character is an NPC and you're just like going through the motion. Try making sense of the complexity of the human beings. And it's not that easy, okay? It's really hard to make characters appealing and actually seem human. It's not easy at all. Then that's for Nier Replicant, right? It's the characters that are very appealing. All of them, you feel emotionally connected to them. I mean, they make you feel sad for a fucking book. There's a book and you're sad for the book. And I'm sure for many people, it's their favorite character, right? And he has a British accent, so what more do I ask for? Nothing. So the characters are great in Nier Replicant, and it's the same for Nier Automata. It's the sequel to Nier Replicant, to a particular ending that actually twists the game on its head, and it makes sense again. And Nier Automata as well. You go halfway through the game, everything makes sense. It's simple, right? It's this simple RPG shit. You're here, you have a problem to fix, and they send you to bring back objects, or they send you on a big quest to fix the problem. And halfway through the game, they just break everything, and everything that was like back there, it doesn't make sense anymore. Well, it makes sense, but it's bad. What you've been doing is bad. You shouldn't have been doing it, and you're not thinking enough. The story flips on it. It's flipped on its head. And the whole incredible thing is that even when it's flipped on its head, it makes sense. You're not like, yeah, the writer is pulling things out of his ass. You're just, man, I was stupid, right? I needed the story to explain it to me. I was stupid. The writer isn't pulling shit out of his ass. It makes so much sense. In Nier Automata and in Nier Replicant, it's pretty much the same narrative when it comes to that specific plot twist I'm having in mind. It's just a bit different, but the core message is there. It's the same one. Now, Now I wanna divert into Berserk, which is one step ahead. Right, one step ahead. In some sense, I haven't read the entirety of Miura's work. I've read quite a bit of it, but of Miura's Berserk at least. What's compelling to me in Berserk? Well, some people will say it's the complexity of the characters, right? Of Guts and Griffith, the humanity of Guts. I've seen a lot of video essays and people talking about how humane Guts is, even looking like a demon sometimes. That's his human side, right? He's human. He's not perfect. He's not an idealist. He knows his condition. He knows that he struggles, and sometimes he gets beat up. And sometimes he's in bad shape. Sometimes he's in a bad mood. Sometimes he kills, even if that's not good. Sometimes he's bound by fate. Sometimes he struggles against fate, and that's a very human characters compared to Griffith, who is an idealist. He's not very human. He's too perfect to be human, and that's really a cool contrast between the characters. But what's compelling to me about Berserk is the sheer size of the world Miura created. I mean, it's immense. It's an entire world, right? It's not just a village, a few villages connected. It's an entire world with politics, beings, creatures, and a shitload of characters. A shitload of them. And to make sense of all of them, and to keep that logic, that streamlined sense, that meaning intact is really hard. Like sometimes I'll be writing, right, and I need to get a character in for the crew of the character, like meeting people and meeting a lot of people, right? And it's very hard to create a distinct personality that would seem organic to each and every character. I mean, you take it for granted, right? When you watch an anime, read a manga, play a game, watch a movie, you take it for granted. But you have to, especially if the characters are fleshed out, every one of them. Of course, some characters won't be fleshed out and are here like posing just to fill the place. But when you have a large cast like Berserk does, from many different races, many different ideologies, many different personalities, many different back stories, many different traumas, many different standings, you have to understand that the guy has to create a distinct personality using the past of the character and its moral compass for each and every character, a distinct personality, creating. It's the work of a god, right? You're creating a life, and it has to be different for every character. It has to be organic, it has to be believable. Because if it's not, you're just gonna fall into the overpowered trope or just perfect trope, which I have fallen into in a lot of stories that I have scrapped away. I find myself like writing a main character whom has like a backstory is fleshed out, but is either too good or too evil. It's like one-sided, it's monochrome. And then a whole lot of side characters who have one trait defining them, and that's it. That's it. Not complicated that much more, right? And of course, you have that gimmick of a character having one special trait that defines him, to get the fan base to know the characters. But you have to, at some point in your story, you have to subvert, to exceed that trait, to show that your character has more layers, right? It's more complicated, he's human. But a lot of times you don't, right? You stop there, and I don't know, just the sheer amount and the sheer size of the world created in Berserk. And I mean, even the complexity of the story, I was gonna leave the complexity of the story for Yokotaro, but I mean, Berserk is a marvel as well of storytelling. The story is amazing, intricate, complex. You kind of get information delivered slowly, not too fast. You get starved a bit, right? But you're left craving for more every time. There's never a point where you're like, okay, I understand the world of Berserk. Okay, I know what's happening, right? Even when you watch videos, and it's the same with the Yoko Taro universe, right? The Taro-verse. You spend your time watching the videos and reading the books, add to the games, and then you're like, okay, I am 10% less confused. And I'm still ahead out of a lot, like, fucking confused. It doesn't make any sense, but yeah, it does make too much sense. I don't know if I get my idea across. That video seems out of nowhere, since it's like 3 weeks that I haven't released anything, and that weird video praising two people about how weird and sensical their storytelling is. But that really is quite the feat, and it really is something that you look up to. But well, why am I telling you this? Because I have experienced something really special. Is you start writing a story, right? I'm following like the Yoko Taro way of doing stuff. I don't know if Kentaro Miura did the same, but basically Yoko Taro imagines the end and then develops the story leading to the end. So that helps to set up plot twists, because you know where you are heading. So you can already, since the beginning, put the story in a completely different settings to allow plot twists to put the story back in line with the end. Whereas when you're writing a story and you don't know where you're going, it's hard to like organize and plan for plot twists. I found it almost impossible. And when you do, the plot twists aren't great, right? They're not organic. They don't make sense. Everything's about sense, about meaning, about direction. Even in a story where like you start in a medieval fantasy world where killing is questioned and where you ride a dragon, you go to Tokyo, right? How did you end up to Tokyo? Who the fuck knows? You're in Tokyo now, right? And the dragon transforms into salt, and well, not the dragon, a fucking naked giant lady transforms into salt, and then the salt turns people into ashes and into salt, or they can turn into soldiers with a red eye, right? That makes sense. But then like people, what did they do to make that, to fight the salt syndrome? Well, they separated the bodies and soul of humans. What happens next? Well, they created fucking androids to look after the humans and look after the whole project, Salt Project, I'm gonna call it, because I don't want to spoil anything. Well, the Salt Project. And then what happens? Well, aliens come down and fucking humans fight with androids against the robots that were created by the damn aliens. Remember when we were talking about a guy riding a dragon in a medieval fantasy setting? Yeah, that's the same story. It's the same one. It's the same book. It's not a book, it's video games, but you get me. It's the same book. It's the same story by Yoko Taro. It's one story. It goes from A to Z continually. It goes there. And yet when you play through the game and understand the story, which honestly playing through the game isn't enough, right? You have to kind of dig here and there to understand. Well, it all makes sense when you dig, when you understand. It all makes sense. When you read stories like that, and like Berserk, I mean, the characters and the world are so intimidating. When you read a character like Guts, when you read a world like the world of Berserk, you're intimidated. You don't know what to do. Right, I write a story and I'm like, damn, it's good. And then I play Nier Replicant for 5 minutes and I'm like, damn, I'm shit. Damn, well, what the fuck am I writing? So many times I've stopped writing because of that. But then I kept going. And I'm getting better. That's great. That's what's great about the intimidation. It screws you up, but it also it makes you want to write something like that. Like when I play Nier Replicant or when I read Berserk, I'm like, I want to create something like that. It's not what I'm doing, right? So like, scrap my work, fuck me. But then you're right, I still want to do something like that, so I'm gonna try. So you try, and someday maybe you'll end up doing something great. So yeah, that's the two faces of the coin I call intimidation, especially in these kind of areas and works. But I guess it can also be applied to many different types of intimidation if you think about it. But yeah, that's a subject for another video. I hope you have enjoyed my nonsensical video, because this YouTuber still doesn't write a script down and just talks out of his ass. Leave a like, subscribe, comment, tell me what you think, tell me what I should talk about next, if I should maybe dive deeper into Nier Replicant or Berserk, or maybe Nier Automata, or any game or franchise or movie. Maybe you want me to talk about something. Give me ideas down there. I have many ideas, but if you can contribute, why not? It's a community thing, and if I'm going somewhere in YouTube, it's with my raging companions, right? It's with my army. I'm not doing that alone. So yeah, let's have fun doing it. And yeah, I'm happy to be back, actually. Well, I'm not going to be happy in a second, because I'm going to have to edit that entire thing. But I'm happy to be back in general. Enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your evening, and don't forget, with it or on it, and your finger high.